Episode 30, The Weight of Generations. Hatchmer. Episode 30, The Weight of Generations. Alex stood in the shadow of the Royal Courts of Justice, the folder Margaret Hayes had given her, weighing heavy in her hands. 27 hours. The words echoed in her mind like a death knell as she watched barristers in their wigs and gowns hurry past, their faces set with the confidence of people who knew exactly who they were. She used to be one of them. Her phone buzzed. Marcus again. "Where are you?" "Still at the courts," she typed back. "Need to think. Come home. Please." Home. The word felt strange now, as if the flat in Holborn belonged to someone else, the woman she'd been yesterday before Margaret Hayes had shown her the true cost of the Morrison legacy. The November wind cut through her coat as she walked toward the Strand, her mind churning through impossible calculations. Resign her license, walk away from everything she'd built. Become an advocate for the very people she'd spent a decade destroying in cross-examination, or refuse and watch Margaret's network of 43 families tear down not just her reputation, but her father's firm, the Morrison name, everything. There is no good choice, she thought bitterly. Only degrees of destruction. Her phone rang. Richard Morrison. She stared at his name on the screen, remembering his confession from the night before. How he'd convinced Catherine to cover up her betrayal of Julia Hartwell. How he'd chosen the firm's reputation over truth. She answered, "Dad, where are you?" His voice was rough, aged overnight by guilt and whiskey. Walking, thinking. "Alex, you can't seriously be considering. What would Mum have done?" The question came out sharper than she'd intended. If she were alive, facing this choice, what would Catherine Morrison have done? Silence on the line. Then, "Your mother would have fought. She always fought. And look where that got her." Alex stopped walking, suddenly unable to move. Dead at 49 from a heart attack that her doctor said was stress-induced. Dead from guilt, maybe, over Julia Hartwell. Dead from being exactly the kind of barrister Margaret Hayes wants me to stop being. "Alex, I need to go, Dad. I'll call you later." She hung up before he could respond, before the tears burning behind her eyes could fall. The street blurred around her. Tourists taking photos, black cabs honking, London moving forward while she stood frozen. Her phone buzzed again. Not Marcus this time. An unknown number. 26 hours, Alexandra. 43 families are waiting. What's your answer? Margaret Hayes. Of course she'd be monitoring the countdown. Alex's fingers trembled as she typed. "I need more information." About what? About what you're really offering. This isn't just about resignation. You want me to become something else entirely. I want you to become someone who helps instead of harms. Someone who fights for families instead of against them. Someone with integrity. And if I do this, if I resign, make the statement, work with your network, what guarantee do I have that you won't destroy me anyway? The response came quickly. You don't. You'll have to trust me the way those 43 families had to trust you in court. How did that work out for them? Alex closed her eyes. The cruelty of it was almost elegant. Another message. Meet me. Tonight, 8 p.m. The Painted Bridge, private dining room upstairs. Come alone. Why? Because you need to see them, the families. Hear their stories. Understand what you've done. Then make your choice. Alex stared at the message, her heart hammering. The Painted Bridge. The pub where her friend group had gathered for a decade, where Sophie and Natasha had first kissed, where she'd celebrated her first major trial victory. Of course, Margaret would choose there. She wanted to contaminate every good memory Alex had. "I'll be there," Alex typed. "Good. And Alexandra? Don't bring your boyfriend, your friends, or the police. This is between you and the people whose lives you've destroyed. If I see anyone following you, the deadline moves up to midnight tonight." The threat was clear. Alex pocketed her phone and resumed walking, her destination now certain, even if nothing else was. Marcus was pacing when she arrived at the flat, his surgeon's hands clenched into fists. 6 hours, he said without preamble. "You've been gone 6 hours. I was about to call Okonkwo." "I'm fine. You're not fine. You're being hunted by a woman who's organized 43 families into a revenge network, and you've been wandering London alone for 6 hours. He crossed to her, taking her face in his hands. "Alex, please, let me help." "You can't help with this." She pulled away gently, moving to the window. The city stretched below, indifferent to her crisis. "This is about who I am, who I've been, the damage I've caused. You were doing your job. That's what Dad said. That's what I've been telling myself for years. She turned to face him. But Margaret showed me something today. A video compilation. 43 families, Marcus. 43 people whose lives I helped destroy. Some of them lost everything. Homes, savings, hope. Some of them, like Julia Hartwell, are dead. That's not your fault, isn't it? Her voice cracked. I cross-examined Julia Hartwell for 3 days. I made her look incompetent, emotionally unstable, untrustworthy. I destroyed her credibility so thoroughly that she couldn't get work afterward. She founded an advocacy organization to help other families, and I spent the next decade defeating every case she touched. I was so good at my job that I didn't just win, I annihilated. Marcus moved toward her, but she held up a hand. Margaret wants me to meet her tonight, 8 p.m. at the Painted Bridge. She's bringing some of the families. She wants me to hear their stories, see what I've done before I make my choice. That's a trap, probably. Then you're not going. I am. Alex met his eyes, seeing the fear there. I need to understand, Marcus. I need to know if Margaret's right about me. If I'm just Catherine Morrison with better hair and a law degree, destroying people without conscience. You have a conscience. That's why this is killing you. Is it enough? The question hung between them. Having a conscience but doing the damage anyway, is that enough? Marcus pulled her into his arms, and she let herself be held, drawing strength from his solid presence. They stood like that for long minutes, the afternoon light fading outside. I'm coming with you, he said finally. She said no one else. I'll stay outside, in the pub, but I'm not letting you walk into that alone. His voice was firm, the tone he used in the operating theater when a decision was final. 26 hours until the deadline, Alex. If this goes wrong, if she moves it up, we need to be ready. Alex nodded against his chest, too exhausted to argue. Okay, and we're telling Okonkwo. She deserves to know. Margaret will know if we bring police. Then Okonkwo stays back, but she needs to be aware. Marcus pulled back to look at her. Promise me, Alex. No more secrets. No more going it alone. I promise. He kissed her forehead, then her lips, gentle and grounding. When they separated, his eyes were dark with worry. Whatever happens tonight, whatever you decide, I'm with you. Even if you resign, even if you become something completely different, I'm not going anywhere. The words should have been comforting. Instead, they made Alex's chest tighten with the weight of all the ways her choice would affect not just her, but everyone she loved. The Painted Bridge looked the same as always. Dark wood paneling, brass fixtures, the comfortable shabbiness of a proper London pub. But as Alex climbed the narrow stairs to the private dining room at 7:55 p.m., everything felt wrong. Marcus waited downstairs with a pint he wouldn't drink, his phone in his hand, ready to call Okonkwo at the first sign of trouble. The private dining room door was closed. Alex paused outside, steadying her breath, then knocked. Come in, Alexandra. Margaret Hayes sat at the head of a long table, her elegant bearing unchanged from their afternoon meeting. But she wasn't alone. 6 people occupied the chairs along the table's length. 3 women, 3 men, ranging in age from late 20s to early 60s. They all turned to look at Alex as she entered. Thank you for coming, Margaret said. Please, sit. Alex took the empty chair at the opposite end of the table, acutely aware of the way everyone watched her. Not with hatred, exactly. Something worse, a kind of hollow recognition, as if they were looking at the architect of their personal disasters. I'd like you to meet some of the families, Margaret continued. You remember Sarah Pemberton, of course. The gaunt woman in the third chair nodded. Alex did remember, the Pemberton case, 5 years ago. Routine surgery, unexpected complications, patient death. Alex had successfully argued that the hospital followed proper protocol. Sarah Pemberton had lost her husband, her home, her daughter's college fund. And this is James Whitmore. Margaret gestured to a man in his 50s. The Henderson case, 3 years ago, his son was 23. Alex's stomach turned. She remembered that case too. Young man, post-surgical infection, death from sepsis. She'd argued the infection was unforeseeable. She'd won. Rebecca Torres, Margaret continued, indicating a woman in her 30s. The Torres case last year. Her brother Michael died from a surgical error using a technique that Daniel Pemberton hadn't properly practiced. The technique he stole from your mother and Julia Hartwell. The connections were becoming clear now. The web Margaret had woven, showing how Catherine Morrison's original sin had cascaded through decades, creating more and more victims. I could introduce you to everyone, Margaret said quietly, but I think you understand the pattern. 43 families, 43 cases you won, 43 lives fundamentally altered by your legal brilliance. I was doing my job, Alex started, then stopped. The words felt obscene in this room. Yes, Margaret agreed. You were, and you were exceptional at it. That's precisely the problem. Sarah Pemberton leaned forward. I don't hate you, Ms. Morrison. I want you to know that. I understand you were representing your clients. But do you have any idea what it's like to sit in that witness box while you systematically destroy your credibility? While you make the court believe that your grief is hysteria, your memory unreliable, your understanding of events flawed? Alex opened her mouth, but Sarah continued. I lost my husband. Then I lost my home because the hospital's insurance wouldn't cover our losses. Then I lost my daughter's future because we couldn't afford university. All because you were so good at your job that the jury believed the hospital over me. Sarah's voice was steady, matter of fact. I don't hate you, but I need you to understand that your victories have consequences. James Whitmore spoke next. My son called me from the hospital. Said he wasn't feeling well, something was wrong. I told him not to worry, that the doctors knew what they were doing. He died 6 hours later from an infection they should have caught days earlier. His hands were clasped on the table, knuckles white. In court, you made it seem like he'd hidden symptoms, like it was his fault. You were so convincing that I almost believed it myself. Almost believed my son was responsible for his own death. I'm sorry, Alex whispered. The words felt inadequate, hollow. Are you? Margaret's voice was gentle, but relentless. Or are you sorry you're facing consequences now? There's a difference, Alexandra. Alex looked around the table, meeting each person's eyes. Rebecca Torres, whose brother had died from Daniel Pemberton's incompetence. Sarah Pemberton, who'd lost everything. James Whitmore, whose son's death had been reframed as his own fault. 3 others whose names she didn't know, but whose faces she recognized from courtroom battles. I don't know, she admitted finally. I don't know if I'm truly sorry or just sorry for myself. All I know is that sitting here, listening to you, I understand that Margaret's right. I've been exceptional at something that causes immense harm. So what are you going to do about it? Margaret asked. The question hung in the air. Alex felt the weight of it, the weight of 26 hours remaining, the weight of 43 families' expectations, the weight of her mother's legacy. I don't know, she said again. If I resign, if I do what you're asking, how do I know it will make any difference? How do I know I won't just be trading one form of harm for another? You don't, Margaret said simply. But at least you'll be trying to help instead of harm. At least you'll be using your intelligence and your eloquence for families instead of against them. Rebecca Torres spoke for the first time. My brother died because Daniel Pemberton used a technique he stole from your mother. A technique that could have saved lives if it had been properly developed and tested. But instead, it was stolen, buried, and then used by an incompetent surgeon who killed my brother and at least 2 others. She leaned forward. If you resign, if you become an advocate, you could help expose Pemberton. You could prevent other families from losing what we've lost. And if I don't resign, Alex asked quietly. If I refuse? Then we tell our stories publicly, Margaret said. All 43 of us, we show the world who you are, who your mother was, what the Morrison legacy really means. We destroy your reputation so thoroughly that you'll never work in law again anyway. But you'll have lost everything without gaining anything. No redemption, no purpose, no chance to make amends. It was a perfect trap. Alex could see that now. Margaret had constructed it carefully, leaving only 2 paths forward. Resignation with purpose or destruction without dignity. Can I have the night to think? Alex asked. Of course. Margaret's smile was thin. You have 25 hours and 43 minutes remaining. But Alexandra, understand this. If you choose to fight, if you refuse to resign, we won't just destroy your career. We'll make sure everyone knows exactly what the Morrison family legacy really is. Your father's firm will collapse. Every case you've ever won will be scrutinized. Every client will question whether they were complicit in harming families. I understand. Do you? Margaret stood, signaling the end of the meeting. Because I don't think you do. Not yet. But you will. By tomorrow at noon, you'll understand completely. The families began to file out, each one pausing to look at Alex as they passed. Not with hatred, with something far more powerful. Expectation. They believed she could be better than Catherine Morrison. They were giving her a chance her mother never took. When the room was empty except for Margaret, Alex stood as well. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Really, is it just about your sister? About Julia Hartwell?" "It's about stopping the cycle," Margaret said quietly. "Your mother betrayed Julia. You destroyed Julia's life's work. Daniel Pemberton continues to practice medicine incompetently. How many more people have to die before someone with power and privilege decides to do the right thing? And you think I'm that person? I think you could be." Margaret moved toward the door. "The question is whether you have the courage your mother lacked. Whether you can choose integrity over legacy." She left Alex alone in the room, surrounded by empty chairs and the ghosts of 43 families' pain. Marcus was on his feet the moment Alex appeared at the bottom of the stairs. "Are you okay?" "No." She let him guide her out of the pub into the cold November night. "No, I'm really not." They walked in silence for several blocks before Alex spoke again. "She's right, Marcus. Margaret's right about everything. I've been exceptional at causing harm. I've been my mother's daughter in all the worst ways." "That's not true." "It is." Alex stopped walking, turning to face him. "I met 6 of them tonight. 6 people whose lives I helped destroy. And they weren't angry. They were sad, disappointed. They looked at me like I was a waste of potential. What did Margaret want? For me to understand. For me to see what I've been doing all these years." Alex's voice cracked. "And I do see it now. I can't unsee it." Marcus pulled her close, and she buried her face in his coat, the tears finally coming. They stood on the Southwark Street, London flowing around them, while Alex cried for Julia Hartwell, for Sarah Pemberton, for James Whitmore's son, for all 43 families she'd never allowed herself to truly see. "Whatever you decide," Marcus murmured into her hair, "I'm with you. If you resign, we'll figure it out. If you fight, we'll do that too. But you don't have to decide tonight. I have 25 hours. Then we have 25 hours to think it through, together." Alex nodded against his chest, drawing strength from his certainty. But as they began walking again, her phone buzzed with one final message from Margaret. "I forgot to mention, Daniel Pemberton operates tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. St. Mary's Hospital. A 7-year-old girl with a congenital heart defect. The same procedure that killed my sister. Sleep well, Alexandra. 25 hours. Alex stopped walking, her blood running cold. Margaret had saved the worst for last. Not just asking Alex to resign, but showing her that another death could happen tomorrow if she didn't act. Another child could die because of the technique Daniel Pemberton stole from Catherine Morrison and Julia Hartwell. She looked up at Marcus, seeing her own horror reflected in his eyes. "She's not just asking me to resign," Alex whispered. "She's asking me to stop Pemberton, to expose him, to prevent another death. You can't stop a surgery scheduled for tomorrow morning. I could try. I could call the hospital, file an emergency complaint with the General Medical Council, contact the parents. With what evidence? Margaret's word? Your mother's decades-old research?" Marcus gripped her shoulders. "Alex, this is manipulation. She's trying to force your hand by making you feel responsible for something that hasn't even happened yet. But what if it does happen? What if that little girl dies tomorrow and I could have prevented it? You can't save everyone. I have to try." The words came out louder than she'd intended, echoing off the buildings. "Don't you see? This is exactly what Margaret wants me to understand. That I've spent a decade protecting people like Pemberton, enabling them, making it possible for them to keep hurting people. And now I have a chance to stop it, and you're telling me not to?" Marcus's face went still. "I'm telling you to think clearly, to not let Margaret manipulate you into making a rash decision based on fear and guilt. It's not manipulation if she's right. Alex, I need to go home. I need to think." She pulled away from him, already walking. "I'll call you later." "Alex, wait." But she was already moving, her mind racing with impossible calculations. 25 hours until Margaret's deadline. 15 hours until Daniel Pemberton would perform surgery on a 7-year-old girl using a technique he'd stolen and never properly mastered. How many more people had to die before she did the right thing? Her phone rang. Richard Morrison again. She almost didn't answer, but something made her press accept. "I know what you're thinking," her father said without preamble. "Margaret contacted me too, told me about Pemberton's surgery tomorrow. Then you know I have to do something. You have to do nothing." Richard's voice was hard, the tone he used in partnership meetings. "This is exactly what she wants, Alex. To make you feel responsible for something you can't control. To force you into a corner where resignation seems like the only moral choice. Maybe it is the only moral choice. Or maybe it's a carefully constructed trap designed to destroy everything you've built." A pause. "Your mother faced a choice like this once, the night before she died. Someone contacted her, threatened to expose her betrayal of Julia Hartwell unless she resigned from Morrison and Blackwood. She was going to do it, Alex. She was going to walk away from everything we'd built together." Alex stopped walking. "What?" She had a heart attack that night, before she could resign, before she could destroy the firm. Richard's voice was thick with old grief. "I've always wondered if the stress killed her. If knowing what she'd done, facing the choice between integrity and legacy, literally broke her heart." "Are you saying Margaret contacted Mum too?" "I'm saying this pattern has been repeating for 30 years. Someone has been orchestrating this, building toward this moment, and you're about to make the same choice that killed your mother." Alex's mind reeled. "That doesn't make sense. Margaret's sister died 15 years ago. Mum died 24 years ago. Then maybe Margaret isn't the only one pulling strings. Maybe this conspiracy goes deeper than we thought." Richard's voice dropped to a whisper. "Come home, Alex. Come to Hampstead. We need to talk about things I should have told you years ago." "What things?" "Things about your mother, about Julia Hartwell, about what really happened in 1994. A pause. "And about who else was involved. Who else knew? Who else has been waiting all these years for the right moment to strike?" The line went dead. Alex stood frozen on the Southwark street, the city spinning around her. 25 hours until the deadline. 15 hours until Pemberton's surgery. And now, the revelation that her mother had faced the same impossible choice and died before she could make it. She looked down at her phone, seeing 3 new messages. "Marcus, please come back. We need to talk." "Margaret, 24 hours, 53 minutes. Unknown number. Your father is lying to you. Catherine Morrison didn't have a heart attack. She was murdered. And you're next, unless you resign by noon tomorrow." Alex's hands shook as she read the final message again, her breath coming in short gasps. Murdered. Her mother was murdered. She began to run, not toward Marcus, not toward her father, but toward the only person who might have answers, Detective Sarah Okonkwo. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about resignation or redemption. It was about survival. And somewhere in London, someone who'd been orchestrating this for 30 years was watching, waiting to see if Alex would make the same fatal mistake as her mother. The countdown continued.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.